Senator Cassidy. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Joe, how are you, man?
I'm okay. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Hey, listen, I understand you spent some time with Vice President Pence in Opelousas.
Yeah, pretty good. We went up to Opelousas where those churches had been burned, met with the pastors. It was powerful. The vice president turned to one of the pastors, Reverend Tucson. He goes, if you don't forgive, it eats into your soul. I think he put it, you have to forgive because it releases your soul. It was just a great message by a guy who could have been bitter, but instead he continued to just express his faith.
Senator, let me interrupt you for a second. Are you on a speaker? You sound like you're in an echo chamber.
I am sounding like I'm in an echo. My phone's broken. I'm having to go through my iPad. So I'm sorry if that's annoying, Joe.
Well, I mean, can't you get some Democrat to buy you a new phone?
Yeah, I think I must be. Like the Chinese must be hacking into my phone or something.
Yeah. No. So yeah, somebody's hacking into your phone. Tell me, you've been quite busy lately. One of the things I know that impacts the state of Louisiana. Bring us up to date on the Jones Act and the waivers that you're trying to get or trying to stop.
Louisiana has a lot of boat companies. We are trying to make sure that those American workers in our state are still employed building boats, and our maritime workers are the ones who are on those boats. The Jones Act preserves that. It says that if you were taking something from one place in America to another place, it has to be on an American-built boat staffed by Americans. There's a threat to that. People wanted to do away with that. So we were joking about folks hacking into my phone, but you can build boats a lot less expensively in Korea and China because you don't pay U.S. taxes. You're using steel, which is subsidized by the state, and you don't have to comply with American laws in general. So there was an effort to kind of do away with the Jones Act. We were able to fight that off to preserve those American jobs.
And let me ask, has that been successfully accomplished yet, or is that still?
Yes, we did. We met with the president last week. The president said he wasn't sure about the Jones Act, but he certainly wanted to preserve his relationships with the senators who were all for it, and so he decided just not to mess with the Jones Act, to leave it as it is.
Now, a couple of other things that I know you've been involved in, and I'm going to save health care till last, but you've been involved with this Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act. Can you share a little something?
That is where we get money from royalties and lease sales off the coast of our state to help rebuild our coastline. And we'll get close to $100 million this year to go towards rebuilding our coastline. After Katrina, Rita, and several other storms, we know how important that is. I had the good fortune to fly over an area where they're rebuilding parts of Cameron Parish, allowing the natural sediment to build up to protect us against tidal surge. And so we are using those dollars to protect us from future storms. There'll be money every year. I was able to get more money for us in 2020 and 2021. But in the meantime, we'll use the dollars we have to protect our citizens.
Well, that becomes very important to us here in Louisiana. That's for sure. No doubt about it. I read something, and I don't know if this affects that, but I understand that the New Orleans levees are beginning to sink. Will this money help them at all?
Yes, it can. A simple answer, yes. That in two ways. One, the state of Louisiana owes a certain amount of money to the federal government as a cost share, So it may be that the dollars are used to pay for the state's portion of rebuilding those levees. We're trying to get it so that the federal government will say, listen, you don't owe us that cost share as long as you use those dollars to further rebuild your coastline. In one way or the other, our country has to pay for the damage caused to our wetlands by things the federal government has done. So let us use those dollars to repair that damage done by federal government policy, as opposed to just paying by some formula for something that the state would otherwise owe.
Okay, well, that's because I read that, and that kind of frightened me a little bit when I read about those levees sinking. Now, what's new in the area of healthcare? I know you've been working on drug prices and healthcare in general, not just drug prices.
Yeah, we're trying to get it so that people can afford their medicines. And there's no single solutions, but there's lots of solutions that if you put them together, make a difference. So one thing we've already done, we've eliminated so-called gag clauses, and these were where the pharmacist couldn't tell the patient it was cheaper to pay cash than to go through their insurance. If the pharmacist told the patient that, they would lose their contract with the insurance company. We've actually eliminated that. The president signed into law something saying you cannot have so-called gag clauses. But we're working on other stuff as well. Again, insurance companies get rebates from the drug manufacturer, but then doesn't pass those rebates along to the patient.
Yeah.
So the patient's paying 4 times what they should be for insulin, can't afford their insulin, end up dying because they can't take their insulin. Again, we're trying to change that.
Well, I'll tell you honestly, I'm looking at your website right now under your new ideas to make health care affordable again. And, man, you've got a lot of stuff in there. I mean,
But, Joe, I worked in the charity hospital system for 25 years. Baton Rouge's version of the Moth Hospital. And I learned, Americans just struggle to pay their health care costs. Lots of reasons. Think about it. When was the last time you go to the doctor, you think it's going to cost you not very much money, you get a bill 6 weeks later for tens of thousands of dollars? It happens regularly to people.
Yeah.
We're trying to do away with what are called surprise medical bills. If you go to an in-network hospital, you get an in-network rate. You don't get a surprise bill from somebody who, lo and behold, wasn't in your network. That's just wrong. We're also trying to build up so-called price transparency. You know the price of something before you get it done, as opposed to find out 6 weeks later. Then you can shop. Wow, it's $250 here, it's $2,500 there. Yeah. I'll go where it's $250. So we're working hard to make these things a reality.
Well, we certainly appreciate your efforts. I certainly do. Let me clear up one other thing. I every now and then I hear that the Trump administration and Republicans are against the pre-existing conditions arena. Where does the president stand on pre-existing conditions, and where do the Republicans in the Senate stand?
He has, the president has made it clear that he wants to have.
Oh, we lost. Wait, we lost you there for a second. The president.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, the president made it clear, and then we lost you.
That he wants protection for those with pre-existing conditions. I am putting together a bill which would, again, reaffirm that Republicans want those with pre-existing conditions to be protected. So far, Democrats have not wanted that sort of standalone bill to be passed. They prefer to say that Republicans are opposed to protecting those with pre-existing conditions, as opposed to working with Republicans to make sure that those protections continue.
Okay, so the bottom line is the President of the United States and the Republicans in the Senate are going to protect the pre-existing conditions that we found coming out of Obamacare.
Correct.
Have I got that right? Okay, we've got that settled. Now, anything new politically in the Congress?
Oh, just a few things, you know. We got I think 25 people running for president on the Democratic side of the aisle.
What is your reaction to the Mueller report and all that's going on with that?
You know, Mueller put out a 400-page report. If you don't know what he was thinking from that, you haven't read the report. I think the American people want Congress to focus on lowering drug costs, lowering health care costs in general, keep the economy rolling. I can go on, but that, infrastructure, you name it. Why don't we focus on that as opposed to rehashing something which has been established was not a crime? I think they hate Trump, and so they'll do anything to go after Trump, but that's not where the American people are.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, and this is getting to be so. I mean, it's just sucking the energy out of the country. If I'm not, that's the way it hits me.
I'd like to think that the energy is still there, but the energy is provided by the American people. Look what's happening in Southwest Louisiana. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. No.
Lots of great jobs for working families. That's where the energy comes from, and I don't care what people are doing about Trump as long as that economic growth continues.
Well, that makes sense. You know, and now the other thing, along with that, have you seen or have you been exposed to this this concept for a new bridge over the Calcasieu River, the I-10 bridge, as a toll bridge?
I have.
What's your reaction to that?
We got to build infrastructure, and right now, Southwest Louisiana's growth is being limited by not having adequate infrastructure. Now, however that deal can be done, we should consider.
Well,
clearly there would be a way if people wanted to avoid a toll, they would just go on the bypass. But if you have an 18-wheeler going from Houston to Florida, they'd probably pay the toll because time is money for a trucker going across country. So I think it's something for our state to consider because, frankly, that new bridge over Calcasieu is probably going to come after several other billion-dollar deals. The road system going to the new airport in New Orleans, the bridge over the Mississippi in Baton Rouge, and then maybe competing with I-49 South and North in Lafayette and Shreveport. So whatever we can do, we need to consider.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because, quite frankly, my own personal, I've got no problem with a toll bridge, none whatsoever. I mean, assuming it's going to be fair, and in today's society, the tolls on roads and bridges are a common thing, and I'm glad to hear you say what you just said. Senator, we are going into a break. I know you're busy. Do you have time or do you have to run?
I got to run, but I thank you, Joe.
Hey, Senator Bill Cassidy, I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time being with us this morning. And as always, we're always welcoming to whenever you've got the time to spend with us.
Thank you, sir.
See you, Senator.